Hello, I'm Jason from StrataGames, and today we're playing some more Pauper. This is Rakdos Affinity. This is one of the decks that I have made myself that I've been really enjoying for the last couple of months. And we got a new edition for it with Duskmourn. We got Clockwork Percussionist, which of course has been dominating the format in Kuldotha Red. It is a very good card. Haste, artifact, it replaces itself, so you're never down a card. It's absolutely fantastic. Since it's an artifact, it works perfectly in this deck. Our goal is to go as aggressive as possible with our affinity cards, as opposed to Grixis Affinity, which is more mid-range. So for really cheap aggressive cards, we have Goblin Tomb Raider, which is a haste guy if we have an artifact, Voldaren Epicure, which makes an artifact for us, the Clockwork Percussionists, and Vault Scourge. All of those are 1-drops. And then we have our affinity package. So Refurbished Familiar, Frogmite, and Mirror Enforcer are good value with the Familiar, and also just really cheap aggressive cards once we have our artifacts out. Obviously, we have a bunch of artifact lands, 4 Great Furnace, 4 Vault, and 4 Drossforge Bridge. We are also playing a couple Darksteel Citadel to really pump up the artifact land count, and a couple of basic lands. And then we also have Blood Fountains. This is more of a late game card, but if we just pop it for 4 mana to pick up 2 Frogmites or a Mirror Enforcer that we can play right away, it's still pretty aggressive and lets us churn out our affinity cards very, very quickly. We have 1 Hunger of the Nim to just be a burst of damage to hit your opponent out of nowhere, especially good on Vault Scourge because it gives you lifelink with all of that, and also it has flying. And then we have 4 Galvanic Blasts and a few Lightning Bolts as removal, and also a way to reach to kill our opponents if they are at a low life total. Just burn them out. We have 4 End the Festivities in the sideboard, 4 Gorilla Shamans, and 4 Pyroblast effects, and Nile Spellbombs, keeping it pretty simple here, but exactly where we want to be. So let's jump right into the games. Alright, we got a 1-lander here. We can play just about everything in our hand, but it's going to be a slow start. We don't draw another land. We're in kind of a rough spot. I think we got to mulligan this, though I don't like it. This one's pretty good. We're going to keep this. Put away the mountain. Keep all our artifact lands. See what our opponent is up to. Looks like traditional affinity, unless it's like Jeskai, Ephemerate or something like that, but I haven't seen that deck in a while. So we're going to swing with Percussionist and probably find out the exact deck. Yep, looks like affinity here. Seed of the Synod, Ichor Wellspring, drawing them a card. Gonna hope to show them a cool, maybe better version of affinity, but not with this hand. We lost all our 1-drops after that other hand. Now we're in a rough spot because we only have 1 damage a turn. If we even just had like another Tomb Raider here, we'd be in a fine spot, putting them on a pretty fast clock, but not with this. They're gonna play a bird. I'm gonna discard just the Darksteel Citadel, I guess. I think I might need the double black or triple red, so we'll opt to keep that over the untapped land. They're going to pass to us. I could Galvblast the Familiar. I think we can save it for now. We get our own Familiar, okay. Well, let's swing for 1. I don't expect them to block. Play our own Familiar in our bridge. Leave out Galvblast again in case we want it. Reason to Galvblast this now would be that they wouldn't have black up, so they couldn't Deadly Dispute it. Oops, I accidentally didn't attack for 1 damage. That is pretty annoying, but we are an aggro deck. 1 damage could matter. Hopefully it won't, but they are taking quite a while in weird spots like end of combat, and that threw me off. I pressed 1 twice. Alright, well, assuming they don't have like a Metallic Rebuke main deck or anything like that, I can probably get this Familiar down, make them discard a card, and we're about even with them on value. Obviously, their deck's going to outvalue us in general in the long run, but right now we're actually kind of on even footing until they are able to like deadly dispute this Wellspring or something like that. So get down that familiar. They are going to have to let it resolve. Discarding a Kark Clan Shaman, we'll play a bridge and pass. Shaman doesn't look great on this board right now. It is pretty good against us in general, but they could have a second one, or they just don't need it right now. Either way, we do have a Galv Blast for it. Makeshift Munitions is pretty annoying, I'm not going to lie. Because then they get to trade their Wellspring for our Familiar. I don't think we can do anything about that. I could Galv Blast this Familiar right now so they don't have the ability to sacrifice it, but I think they're probably going to shoot this now, so it's not going to matter either way. Yep. Plus, I think I want to save Galv Blast to try to burn them out, especially if they're going to have the ability to kill all of our creatures as they come down here. I could just shoot the Familiar rather than take 2. I guess I do need to be worried about them burning us out, seeing as they might have a Galv Blast or 2, but also they have the Makeshift, which makes things always harder. Sure. In that case, let's kill the Familiar while we can, without them getting a ping off of it. We draw Mere Enforcer, not terrible. I can play that this turn. Actually pretty good. Play a Synth first, see what we get off of that. A Vault. Not the worst, seeing as we can activate Blood Fountain with it, plus we can activate Synthesizer. So we get down our Mere Enforcer, attack for 1. Now we have a good clock. If they don't have a very good turn, then we might be in a good spot. They don't currently have any, except for the Makeshift Munitions, they don't have anything other than lands, especially no artifacts, so their Mere Enforcers are still costing quite a bit here. Obviously, if they play a Blood Fountain or a couple Familiars before that, they're going to be able to get up there. Yep, there's a Blood Fountain. So they could buy back their 2 creatures whenever they need to. If they do it right now, though, they don't have anything to play this turn. So that's fine with us. Looks like they are just going to pass, leave up Makeshift, removal, potentially, and also that Blood Fountain. We get another Enforcer. Not bad at all. Let's swing for 5. See if they want to use a Galv Blast or anything like that right now. But even a single Galv Blast would make it so that they can't use their Blood Fountain. So I anticipate them taking it down to 12. We have 7, 8, 9 artifacts, so I'm not too worried about cracking this first. Everything in our deck except for Hunger of the Nim should be playable off of 1 mana here, seeing as we have enough artifacts. Now, Experimental Synth is playable. If we get anything that's not a land or not a free affinity card, it's going to be a waste of that. Yeah, Blood Fountain, unfortunate. But we get another Synth, so we can get another card off of it next turn and another Samurai. They can get back their Kark Clan Shaman, sack 4 artifacts to wipe our board. Probably what they're going to have to do. But sacking 4 artifacts, 1 blood, if they have to sack 3 lands, then that's not too bad for us. Makes their Makeshift really bad, makes it so they can't play much. We also get a card off of the Percussionist. They're going to start with a Familiar, so they will draw a card. And then a Chromatic Star. Okay, that's a good expendable land. Not land, expendable artifact for their Kark Clan, which I expect to see here. That means they only have to sack 2 lands. They also had an artifact land this turn, so, they'd be down to 4 lands total. Not devastating altogether. Unless they have mana for, like, a Deadly Dispute. So, yeah, we're not going to be able to hit very hard here, but we could then sack the Blood Fountain to pick up our Mere Enforcers if we want, or maybe just, like, we could get a Percussionist for the value, but probably just go with the 2 Mere Enforcers. They will need another Kark Clan with 4 artifacts to really be able to deal with them efficiently. Or maybe a couple Galv Blasts. Looks like they might try to just do this in our upkeep so that we don't have like a Deadly Dispute effect. Which is fair. We don't have any of those in the deck, but you know, obviously they don't know that. This is a bit of a rogue brew. They are heavily contemplating it here. If we sack the Blood Fountain once we've lost all our creatures, we are going to only have 6 artifacts. So we have to draw an artifact land, or actually just any land, to be able to play it again and get our enforcers down. We didn't draw that. We could still get one off of the Percussionist, but we're certainly just going to go for the attack, force them to do it. If we have to play the Mirror Enforcers next turn, so be it, but obviously I would love to be able to rebuild our board immediately after they wipe it. It could also go with something like chump here with the Krark, sack 2 artifacts, hit the Samurai and the Clockwork, and maybe like cast down or Galv Blast this other one. Looks like they might be doing that, or maybe they're just blocking as you would before using a Krark Clan, which is what I would do too. They're sacking the Familiar, okay, preserving their lands over the 2/1 flyer, which is fair. Chromatic Star, yeah. They're going for the 4. Into the Reckoner's Bargain, yep. It's going to keep them up in value. Well, let's hope we get something good off this Percussionist. We get a Darksteel Citadel. That's pretty good. That allows us to replay our Enforcers. So let's... Oh, or we could do a Familiar. Familiar is good value, but it just dies to the Makeshift Munitions too easily, and we're trying to get in for damage, so I think we're just going to take the 2 Enforcers and play the Vault Scourge. Vault Scourge also dies pretty easily to the Makeshift, but they actually have to throw something at it, and it doesn't die to Krark Clan. Those things are also true of the Refurbished Familiar, but I would prefer they have to deal with 2 Mirror Enforcers, and then also we have a flyer, as opposed to the flyers, which are really easy to kill, and they can keep chumping the 1 Enforcer or something like that. They do have a Galv Blast for 1 of the Enforcers. And then another Familiar. I mean, they have a lot of value here, unfortunately. But, I mean, they still are looking to chump this Enforcer and maybe trade for it with both Familiars. If they have a Blood Fountain follow-up or something like that, that is not great. But if not, you know, I would take that trade for sure. We do have a Synth to make another attacker and to draw another card. So we're not out of this, but we do need to get a pretty good couple draws, I think. They have a Spell Bomb, which is annoying, makes our Blood Fountain potentials pretty bad. We draw a Vault of Whispers. Let's start with a Synth, see if we get a Bolt that could like help with our double block or whatnot. We get a Familiar. Yeah, let's start with the Familiar, just make them discard a card, I suppose. They discard a Seat of the Synod. Let's swing with both of these guys. See if they go for the double block. They do. Lucky for them, we don't have the bolt. So we just got to take it. And I'm going to keep this Vault of Whispers to discard to the blood. I could do it right now. Maybe I should have, because if we draw a Frogmite or another Enforcer, we could have played it. I was thinking we'd be out of mana, but obviously since we have a couple free spells in the deck, there was a potential to cast it there, so probably should have just gone for it. If we do draw that, you know, 6 out of 42, we would be pretty happy to get that creature down. They have a Mirror Enforcer, and this Makeshift still to pick off our flyers, so Not looking great. Yep, they're going to just do it right now. Bark Clan. Another spell bomb. In case we had any thoughts of getting these back. Makeshift. Vault Scourge. Well, let's just draw. There's the Frogmite. I mean, it wouldn't have really made a difference now, but still should have probably gone for it since we didn't realize what they were going to do. Yeah, I mean, let's play a Vault Scourge, and Frogmite just dies to the Kark, but they're not going to use Kark on just one. They're not going to need to. Might as well just play it. And pass to them. They're probably going to win this one, I will admit. But it's okay. We could get there if they don't draw any life gain and we just happen to draw a bunch of burn. We still have 3 Galv Blasts and 3 Lightning Bolts in the deck. So that's not out of the realm of possibilities. They are going to start sacking to their Kark clan right now. Sacking Vault of Whispers. Interesting they wouldn't just sack one of these spell bombs since they don't really need 2 of them and they can get their card draw. But they do wipe our board. Start attacking for 4. We're down to 15. I have another Kark clan. Well, let's see if this synth can go the distance. Not thinking it will right now. We got a Tomb Raider. I guess we'll play the Tomb Raider. I mean, it attacks for 2, forces them to take damage or sack some stuff right now. Yeah, we get in for 2. Could make the burn plan a little easier. They're going to spell bomb our graveyard. And draw their card. Okay. Deadly Dispute a land. And probably swing for 5 here. Yup. We're down to 10. They're going to pass. There's a Galv Blast. I mean, I think they're probably going to sack a couple artifacts to shoot this Tomb Raider, but I can live with that. No. Well, in a world where we draw Galv Blast here and they don't have a Reckoner's Bargain, we could get there. Let's see if we exist in that world. No, it's a Frogmite. Well, let's play a Frogmite. They still have to sack to get through here. They're going to play a Wellspring. Like, for them to have lethal here, they would need a couple Galv Blasts, or I guess if they sack Kark Clan, they could get in for 4 with Mirror Enforcer. And then they have 5 mana for Makeshift, so that would be just 1 short. Okay. They're going to Kark and Reckoner's Bargain the Kark. I mean, that 1 life does put them out of double Galv Blast range. So, that's not great. I guess I could shoot the Mirror Enforcer here, and then we're not dead necessarily. Whereas if we take it, we're dead next turn with the munitions. Seeing as we don't really have the out anymore to draw another Galv Blast, we'd have to draw 2 more Lightning Bolt effects, 2 more burn spells. I just don't think that's viable, and they had the bargain, so it was not going to work regardless. We're in a rough spot, but Tomb Raider It's a bit of a clock again. Let's swing for 2. And pass back to them. See, if they get just like a Galv Blast, we're pretty dead, and they have one right there. Let's see if they have the other one or the extra land. They do. We are toast. Alright, that was pretty close considering our slow start. We are just going to bring in 4 Gorilla Shamans for our Lightning Bolts, seeing as they don't kill Mere Enforcers, and the burn win is unlikely with their life gain. And 1 Blood Fountain, we just want to go faster than them. We can't really compete with them for value. I could bring in Spell Bombs, but I just think we need to go under them as opposed to caring about their Blood Fountains late game. So we're just going to do the Gorilla Shamans and see how that goes. We're going to go on the play. This hand's not bad. The worst part about it is 2 non-artifact lands. We only have 3 in the deck, but we're going to keep it because we have a Gorilla Shaman. We have some other good 1-drops, some removal, and, just a bit of a faster start this time. We're going to get the Epicure down. Maybe should have just gone with the Vault Scourge. Usually it's right to get the Vault Scourge down because your life link starts kicking in as soon as possible. So that could have been a mistake. They have a bridge. We get a Percussionist. Then again, maybe I was smart because I played my red spell when I only had 1 red mana, and now I can play another red spell. I don't necessarily think that was the correct play, but I do think that being there are so many red pips in this deck, but it is still a 2-color deck, that being aware of which ones you're using is pretty key. If I wanted to play the Gorilla Shaman turn 2, I did make the right play probably with the Voldaren Epicure. I only would have wanted to do that if they had played like a seat first, but either way. I have a Refurbished Familiar. I think here I just get rid of this Galv Blast, because we're going to use this Gorilla Shaman to blow up this seat this turn. And so I might as well also get down a Frogmite. Well, I'll need another artifact to do that this turn. But they're probably going to be forced to chump with this. Not chump, trade with this. So I don't really need the Galv Blast for removal as much. Drossforge Bridge is going to make it so we can play that Frogmite. Let's actually do that before we attack, because if they trade with one of our artifact creatures, we're not going to be able to play this for free. So let's just play it now, then swing with the team. I'd prefer them to make the decision of whether they want to trade before they know that we're blowing up their land, because they're going to be more stingy with their artifacts if they know that they're down a land. They are going to trade, which makes me pretty happy. I'm going to take 2, and sometimes I think it's right to hold a Gorilla Shaman, especially if you are a control deck. I think saving it so that you can take 2 or 3 lands away is way better. With an aggro deck, I think you want to take out 1 land if you can as fast as possible, because this just makes it so they probably can't do anything here, and we can just get in for 5 damage while they don't really have anything else to do. I am going to pitch this Drossforge Bridge just because I want to keep the aggression up, and I got a Tomb Raider. Now, if they play a Quirk Clan Shaman, this is just another creature that's going to die to it, but they're behind enough that them sacking 2 artifacts to a Quirk Clan Shaman right here isn't going to be too bad for us, unless they play like a Blood Fountain, which would be annoying, admittedly. But like if they Blood Fountain Quirk Clan and sack both the Blood Fountain and the Blood Token to it, we don't get like land advantage, which is really what we want them to be forced to sacrifice. But either way, if they do that, we also still get a card off the Clockwork Percussionist. They're at 8, and we're going to draw our card for turn, so we might still have a chance to finish them off pretty quickly here. They do have the Quirk Clan and a Great Furnace, which they're just tempting us to destroy with our Gorilla Shaman. And when we go for it, they're of course going to sack it to the Quirk Clan. Looks like they might just do it now and then Deadly Dispute the Quirk Clan, though, which I could live with. They have a familiar. So it doesn't really matter when I use the Gorilla Shaman, but we're not going to do it during their main phase, because then they could still use this red for whatever. They draw off the familiar. Oh, I maybe should have done it there, though, because now they can sack the familiar instead of one of their lands, and I'd prefer for them to have to sack 2 of their lands. So yeah, that was a bit of a mistake. I'd prefer them to have a 2/1 than any more lands. So if they go for another artifact here, I'll certainly blow it up in response. They're going to Galv Blast. Interesting. Galv Blast makes me think they are trying to force me to do it now. There's no reason for me to. Also makes me think maybe they're only wanting to sacrifice 1 artifact to the Shaman. Yeah. So that they don't care about killing the Tomb Raider as much. That's fine. I can respect that. We get another Tomb Raider out of it, which is pretty good. Let's see what we draw off the top. A Blood Fountain. Well, Blood Fountain's not bad here. We're going to swing for, I expect, 2 damage in a trade. Yep. And let's play a Blood Fountain and pass the turn to them. So they're at 6. Pretty good for us. They do have a Vault of Whispers. So they're just going to Deadly Dispute the Vault. So they are desperate. That means they don't have any removal in hand, I would bet. Because if they can just kill this, they're not in a terrible spot. Land is pretty good for us, though. That lets us sack our Blood Fountain. We only have 3 artifacts, though, so I can't even get down a Frogmite if I sack it right now. So I'm just going to pass, use it on their end step, or if they play a Spell Bomb in response to that. But we're probably going to get back that Gorilla Shaman, of course, and a Tomb Raider for the haste. They play a Mere Enforcer for 2 mana, and another Enforcer, okay. Maybe the haste isn't going to be good enough then. We could instead get Vault Scourge's Flying. I could get a Clockwork Percussionist, which could be a card off the top. I think Flying's probably our best bet. I could get the Gorilla Shaman, but all it blows up at the moment is a Chromatic Star. That doesn't seem very good. So I actually think I'm just going to go with the Voldaren Epicure. It pings them for a 4th of their life and can be a redraw. Let's do that. If I draw a Galvanic here, that's going to be game. Tomb Raider, well, makes me kind of wish I had the other Tomb Raider. But I can play it, but attacking doesn't do anything here. I almost kind of want to pitch the Tomb Raider to this blood token. It just doesn't do much. Percussionist is something anyway. Sure, let's just play a Percussionist. And I could run it at them. I don't want to, like, if they get another Cart Clan, they're going to wipe these guys, but if I run them into these guys, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I think we just play all our guys. Clockwork is better than the Tomb Raider because it dies the same way, chump attack, but at least it draws us a card. So, again, if I run this into them and I get a Galv Blast, I win, but if I get anything else, it just feels worse that I'm throwing away this potential damage. So I think I'd rather just play out all my guys, and if they can't do much effectively on the board, then I can attack next turn, and I can maybe get one of these through, plus my Vault Scourge. Blood token can draw us a new card, so I think we'll have a better shot there. Not quite what I wanted to happen, but the double Mere Enforcer really brick-walled us. We're going to Deadly Dispute the Chromatic Star. I just don't want to see a Reckoner's Bargain on the Mere Enforcer. Or another Card Clan would be annoying, but play a Swamp. And so the worst things that they could have here would be, I mean, Thoughtcast could be annoying for sure. I don't mind if they just draw cards if they don't do anything else, but obviously that could draw them into the cards that we're dreading. Reckoner's Bargain, Familiars would be bad. More Enforcers is a little annoying, but not necessarily the end of the world. It also shows us that they don't have Reckoner's Bargain up, so if we do get a Galv Blast, we know we can get them still. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 artifacts. No, I counted the swamp. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 artifacts. Immune Enforcer costs 5. Not 5. Costs 2. I know how math works, right? Costs 2. So I think we're just attacking with Vault Scourge for 1. See if they have the removal spell. And then playing a Mere Enforcer. They don't, so they're down to 2. Play this guy and pass. Just kind of the same position. The more Enforcers they get, the harder it is for us to attack. So if I get desperate, and maybe I should have been desperate there since they were tapped out of the Reckoner's Bargain mana, but if I get desperate, I can throw the Percussionist away for that card draw. Didn't necessarily feel like we needed it. Gorilla Shaman's a little annoying. They get our land, which is whatever. They get our blood token, which is pretty annoying because that was our extra draw. But if they spend a lot of their turn blowing up our artifacts, it's not the end of the world to me. They do have 3 mana up, though, so still could do something. Refurbished Familiar is not bad. Is it time to swing with the team? They probably, if they have removal spell, they're going to probably use it on the Vault Scourge. It is half their life total. So if they do that, they can trade with the Mere Enforcer. They can eat Tomb Raider, eat Clockwork, and trade with the Voldaren. Yeah. I think it's probably time to run everything at them. I think it probably is time to run everything at them. A little awkward because they have all the mana up, but I don't know. It feels like they are going to have to be very selective about what they choose to do. They could kill this. If they have Galv Blast and Reckoner's Bargain, they can kind of do it all. But we'll see. Looks like they are going to go for the blocking everything on the ground, which makes sense. It's the way that they wouldn't have lethal. They do have the Reckoner's Bargain on the Percussionist, so that one's not going to die. Fair enough. I mean, I guess I'll call it a win. It wasn't amazing, but we did get rid of 2 Mere Enforcers. Play a Familiar and pass, so we do have 3 in the air. And since they don't have 3 Enforcers, they're still on the back foot. If they had them and were up to 10 life, they could start like hitting us for 10, 12 a turn, and then we'd be dead really quick. But luckily, they had to lose a couple. So they're going to play a Nicker Wellspring, draw a card, and go for a Dispute on it right away. Draw more cards. I mean, their card advantage is the biggest problem for us, and that is not going away anytime soon. They Galv Blast our Familiar. I guess they could just swing with the Enforcer. They Galv Blast the Vault Scourge. Yeah. I guess 4 is quite a bit faster than 1 damage here. So we get a Synth. Could be good. Hopefully not an Enforcer, because we can't play that. I think we can play just about anything else. They're going to Blue Blast it. Okay. Well, I could wait to chump, but one card isn't going to be that relevant off this Percussionist. Might as well get our damage in while we can. So they have a Blood Fountain, just about the worst thing we could see. Because that's 2 more Enforcers on the ground. They're going to swing for 4 and just pass it to us. So, I guess they couldn't have played the Enforcers. They were 1 artifact short. So, still could be doing that just on their turn. Or they're worried about what we could draw, which is fair. Play an Epic here. They're down to 5. I mean, we still have a chance here, but it is slipping for sure. They're going to go for the Blood Fountain. Get back the double Enforcer. Play one of those out, followed by the second. Swing with the first. We're going down to 7. I mean, they've used 2 Galv Blasts, 3 Galv Blasts, so we're not in fear of dying yet. But next turn, Krark Clan is pretty bad. I think our only goal, I think our only way to win, that is if we Blood Fountain and Clockwork Percussionist into burn spells, and that they have no life gain or counter spells. But we're going to pass to them to leave these up as blockers. If they're smart, they're going to wipe them with the Krark Clan to get in for lethal, but if they let us block, then maybe we'll survive an extra turn. So we will pass to them. If they do have another Galv Blast, even letting us block is going to be irrelevant. They're going to be able to shoot us down either way. But I'm sure that they will just take out the guys before blocks. So let's see what they're thinking here, how they want to go about this. Start with a familiar. Well, that is annoying. That's going to force us to try to get our burn spell right now. We get 1 bridge out of another. So discard that. Now they know that we are shields down. They have munitions. Pretty good for them, I would think. There's the Krark. Can't waste any value, so they're going to Deadly Dispute it. Percussionist turns up a Great Furnace. All right. Well, that was a good match, but unfortunately, we weren't able to get a game. We were pretty close both times, but I don't know. I guess it just wasn't meant to be. All right, we're going to keep this one. Not the fastest start, but we have some good value. We have the potential for a burn win or just some removal spells if Utopia Sprawl could mean, oh, wait, it looks like Bogles, which Galv Blast is not going to be as good against Bogles. I guess that means maybe we just get a Vault Scourge down right away. I was thinking about just playing the bridge so we could get a synthesizer up, but the little bits of life that we can gain could be pretty good here. They're going to play a Ledgewalker and 8 Sentinel's Eyes. Well, this can't block flyers, so we can still attack past it. But they've already got that guy going, so a little annoying, but we are going to have chump blockers for it if it gets big with no trample, which I know is a big thing to ask, but we will see where we go from there. Yeah, Bogles, not generally the best deck, I don't think, but it can absolutely make waves when you play an Armadillo Cloak against an aggro burn deck. And since that's where we are, we've probably already lost. Can't really think of a way to get out of this. I think it would start with synth into like a Great Furnace here, just for mana's sake. Nope. Yeah, because if we got a Great Furnace there, that would have been 5, 6. We could have played that and an Enforcer, so we maybe could have raced them if they didn't get another one of these guys. But we are already dead. And that's why Bogles is not the most interesting. I mean, kudos to them. You need something to beat mono red. That's totally fine. I'm not saying anything bad about it, but there's just no game in it. It feels like it either wins or loses on turn 3, roughly. We get End the Festivities, which are good only if we can get them in multiples or before they pump their creatures at all, but it's just about the only thing we have. Lightning bolts aren't going to kill their guys. Even a Galv Blast isn't going to kill their guy. Obviously, these can go to the face, but that's only really going to work if they don't have life gain, which they have a lot of in the deck and maybe even more in the sideboard. So we have to kind of dodge that. This one's tough. I think maybe we'd keep this if this were a swamp. No, I guess that doesn't let us do much. I could keep it, play a Vault Scourge. Turn 2, I can synth. If we hit a land, we're golden. If not, we're terrible. But do we need kind of like a double Mirror Enforcer start to be able to even fight against this deck? Kind of. Let's give it a try. I think this match is kind of a wash anyway. Like, again, if they get their lifelinker going, we're kind of screwed regardless. But you know, if we're able to get land off of this and then just kind of get like 2 Mirror Enforcers down on turn 3, probably, that'd be a pretty good start, pretty good way to make some impact here. We get another Vault Scourge. I could play that, or I could just go for the synth. I think we're going to go for the riskier play. Higher reward. We didn't get there. So that, you know, that happens sometimes. But we got to take these risks when our opponent plays this kind of a deck. Just a Bogle. Oh, wait, never mind. They got the Sentinel's Eyes. Yep, not even letting it be a 1-1, so we can't end the festivities. Another Mirror Enforcer, you say? We're so close to them because we can Vault Scourge is 4, Frogmite is 5. So actually, we still need one more artifact to be able to start playing Enforcers. So, I mean, if we hit even just a swamp off the top, we're like golden. But yeah, just about any artifact, especially artifact land, would be really good. Any artifact that we could play, you know, non-black. They're proposing a trade here. I feel like they're gonna have Vitality Charm or like some combat trick, Vines of Vastwood. I don't know why they played that in this deck. I can't imagine they're actually willing to make this trade, or they just have another creature. But I don't think we can afford to. We have to keep our artifacts to play these Enforcers. So that's what we'll do. Another 2 creatures. Well, and the festivities would hit those now. We get a Tomb Raider, one of our few non-artifact spells. So I guess we'll play that. I mean, they block these guys, and I guess if they go for this attack again, we could double block, but if they go for it again, we still know it's a trap. I guess they could have Ram Through, maybe. That's a card that sometimes they play in the sideboard. They're going to Malevolent Rumble into some sort of mana. They're going to go for the Utopia Sprawl. Over a forest is interesting, unless they drew one this turn. I guess it's just an enchantment, so it buffs their Ethereal Armor and the other one. They are going to swing again with only a white and a colorless up. I'm trying to think what they could have without green. I think we just gotta take it again, though. We need this Frogmite for this Mirror Enforcer, but that is a tempting trade. I realize they can get Sentinel's Eyes back, but still, it's like, it's not terrible. They have the Crimson Acolyte. Okay. Yeah, maybe they're just willing to do it. There's the Frogmite. That sets off the chain reaction. So, boom, 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 boom. Just do all this, and then we'll swing. So that's pretty good. We know they have a Utopia Sprawl in hand, so 2 unknowns. But if they don't hit one of their haymakers, you know, pretty good spot here. They have an Abundant Growth. Okay, that's a redraw. Followed by a Malevolent Rumble. Well, that finds a redraw, another 1/1, or another Crimson Acolyte. They're going to choose the Abundant Growth. Don't really need another Acolyte. So, okay. Well, we get to swing for a bunch here. Darksteel Citadel, of course. No way to play this familiar still. No reason to attack with the Tomb Raider as it gets blocked by this guy. Frogmites, they could eat one, but then they have to block the other with something else. We're definitely swinging with all of these, which is actually lethal. Yeah, I think we'll leave back the Frogmites. I think that's fine. Maybe next turn we'll go for a full out attack. But yeah, I kind of expect them to try to trade this away. Maybe they can just buff up one of their creatures again with the Sentinel's Eyes so that they'll still have a 3/3, but if they spend their mana on other things, it might be fine. So block here, chump 1, they're going to take 6. Play a Darksteel Citadel and pass. So they need something pretty good here. And obviously they did not have the best start, so I understand that. But the Mirror Enforcers, while they didn't come as quickly as I was hoping, are doing work. So it's not too bad. 4 mana. Coalition Honor Guard or Guardian of the Guild Pact, but neither of those make really any sense in this deck. Okay. Maybe they're just getting overzealous. Can't think of another 4-drop they would play. Can't think of any 4-drops they would play, to be clear. Maybe they're just doing like an Armadillo Cloak, but they want to use, yeah, like a green for the Abundant Growth and then use this up. But that would not leave them with enough blockers, even with the life gain. Yeah, we got there. Nice. Okay, didn't even need our sideboard plan, and to be honest, they're playing around the sideboard pretty well. They did for the first guy, but then they just threw out a couple 1/1s, so if we'd had to end the festivities there, it wouldn't have been bad. It would have cleared a couple blockers. But with the Crimson Acolytes and just the fact that they're not trying to play a 1/1 alone, it makes me almost want to take them out, but like, and put back in our burn to like go for their face. I think we'll do this. If they're desperate and run out guys again, I think it'll be better, but kind of tough. I mean, if you're playing against a Bogles player who is willy-nilly throwing out their first creature and maybe their only creature, absolutely, and the festivities is great. But if you're not, and they're not doing that, then it's not great. This is not one we can keep. Technically, we can play most everything in our hand, but we don't have the aggro. We don't even have the late game except for 1 Enforcer. We don't even have a path to that Enforcer very well, so... and we know that the end of the festivities aren't going to do as much as we would like them to. This one's acceptable. We got to keep our lands. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 artifacts. So we could keep the Enforcer, but that means we only have 4 before the Enforcer. But we also only have 1 red. So yeah, maybe just getting rid of one of these Epicures is fine. I do think the Enforcer could be good again. I think it was either Enforcer or an Epicure. But I think I like keeping this guy around. They're going to cycle an Ash Barrens for a Plains. Both their colors. Great Furnace would be pretty good. There's another Enforcer. Okay, well. Hopefully we can get there. This one red and Swamp is pretty awkward, though, because we can play a Voldaran Epicure or a Clockwork Percussionist. Unless we draw another untapped artifact land here, we can't also play the Refurbished Familiar. Because we'll only have 2 artifacts and 1 mana after using one on one of these guys, so pretty awkward. They do play Malevolent Rumble and find a Crimson Acolyte. Okay. So that could be annoying. Oh, always better to be lucky than good. We got the Great Furnace. We get to play our Percussionist because we want to attack with it before they have an Acolyte, because that's damage. So play that, play our Refurbished Familiar. And that's 4 artifacts already. Which means next turn we can play Epicure, that's up to 5 artifacts, and get down at least 1 Mirror Enforcer, which is pretty good for us. They discard a Forest. That's totally fine. Play that Acolyte, and nothing to buff it up with. Of course, it doesn't die to end the festivities regardless. And we draw that Percussionist. That's great. So that means we get to play an Epicure, bring them for 1, play that Percussionist, 6 artifacts, so our Mirror Enforcer's 1, play the next one, and swing with the team. If I swing, I'm swinging with 2, I mean, we're swinging with this guy, but if I swing with 2 grounders, I only get in for 1 damage. They kill one of these for free, get a card for next turn. I think we just swing for the 2, but the next time when we go with like big Enforcers, we'll also probably swing with all the Percussionists and 1/1s. I will say we drew very well here. They could still get us if they like Rancor into Armadillo Cloak or something good. Cycle and Ash Barrens, Ethereal Armor. That's that's a good start for them. Into a Sentinel's Eyes, so that's a 4/4. So that eats a Mirror Enforcer. They're gonna pass, and the festivities doesn't really matter either way. I guess it takes out a spawn. So if I end the festivities, they're at 15, kill this. I can swing with the team, they can block 1 Enforcer, and they'll take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Plus they've taken 1 from this, so 10. So they're at 6. They do have Vigilance, so if they're then able to Armadillo Cloak, we're in a rough spot. But if they do that either way, we're in a rough spot. And they only have 1 card in hand, so we can't count on them doing that. So I'm going to end the festivities. It's going to deal 1, but also essentially deal them an extra 4 because they can't block a Mirror Enforcer with the spawn. So yeah, put them to 6, and hopefully they don't have lifelink. They do, we're in a bad spot. They have a Glade Cover Scout. And they have an Armadillo Cloak. Well, lucky them. I mean, with the first strike, even if we'd left back 2 Enforcers, we wouldn't have been able to trade with it. So that's probably just game. I don't think we can do anything about that. I mean, we had a really lucky draw. I guess it's only fair that they lucked back. Seems kind of like BS, though. We'll discard this guy. We get a Galv Blast. We can attack. They'll block. Got first strike, so we can't even like do the damage first and trigger on the stack trick. Got first strike, so if they attack in, I could block with this and this, but they just kill them both. That doesn't take any damage, so I can't Galv Blast it. Also, it's got protection from red, so I can't Galv Blast it. Yeah, that's pretty annoying. I have to admit. It's got trample, so I can't chump it. Well, I guess we lose. Pretty frustrating. That game was definitely going in our favor, and they just happened to have the lucky card. Again, we did get lucky drawing how we did, but if they just didn't have the Armadillo Cloak, even if we had a bit of a slower start, we would have been totally fine. But, oh well, that's how it goes sometimes. I will say, I've seen Rakdos Madness Burn do some Extracted Confessions in the sideboard, which is the edict that your opponent has to sack the highest power creature. And maybe that's worth considering here. It's really good there because it takes care of terrors. It takes care of, obviously, Bogles if you run up against it. Takes care of, like, Trolls of Khazad-dûm or whatever you need it to. It seems weird because it's, like, usually not a aggro card, but this matchup, if we had just had that instead of any of our end festivities, we wouldn't have had a problem. We just make them sack their guy, and we would have been totally fine. And you can use the and you can evidence it with just one Mirror Enforcer. So we have the evidence for it for sure. So I think that might be worth considering. And the festivities are obviously good against mono red or mono white or anything like that. But maybe cutting, a Pyroblast, one of those for like maybe 2 to 3 of the Extracted Confessions could be worth looking into. All right, we have a unkeepable hand here. So we're going to mulligan that. We have another pretty bad one. We can get a Vault Scourge down. We can chance on an experimental synth, but without black, we can't even get a familiar. We got to mulligan this one too. This one's okay. We're going to keep it. Get rid of... I think we're going to just keep the artifact lands. Get rid of the mountain and the hunger, since we can't play those, and try for just a quick start with these 3 creatures. Hope they can kind of take us to victory. We can get a turn 1 Tomb Raider, and a turn 2 Vault Scourge and Frogmite, so I think is what we're going to do. They have a Blast Runner, so we're against red. Mirror Enforcer can be pretty good too. We're going to look like red to them as well. But we're going to shift very suddenly into Affinity in turn 2. They have they have a Tomb Raider of their own and then an Implement. Okay. We get a Synth. I can play Synth, and then I can actually play Vault Scourge and Frogmite still, because the Frogmite will have 4 artifacts for. This is good if we get a land that we can play off the Synth, or like another Vault Scourge, or like 1-drop. We're going to have no colored mana to cast anything off of it, so it's maybe a bit of a waste, but until we draw a land, that's going to be the case either way, so I think we just go for it. We get a Lightning Bolt, that's a whiff, unfortunately. Also, we are pinging ourselves with this Vault Scourge against a mono-red opponent, but that's what we got to do. So yeah, we even synthed into Lightning Bolt, so they really thought we were mono-red, and then boom, 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 3 artifact creatures, artifact lands or creatures that are not featured in mono-red. Of course, they have a Kuldotha Rebirth here, and if they have the Bushwhacker, we're probably immediately dead. They don't. That's good for us, at least. We're going to make the trade here. Just got to take the 3. But a Vault Scourge, we're at 4, so we can play that 5, but we can't quite play the Mirror Enforcer no matter what. So I guess we just swing with the Vault Scourge, try to gain our 1 life. Leave back our Tomb Raider, and then play another Vault Scourge, paying 2 more life. But if we block a Goblin, that saves us a life, and we lifelink, we'll gain the life back. So, it'll probably be worth it. Ping them for 1, pay 2, and play a Darksteel. Not a Darksteel, play a Vault Scourge off the Darksteel. They do have a Bolt on the end step for the Tomb Raider. Okay. And a Galv Blast for the Vault Scourge. So we're taking 4 here down to 7. They have 1 card in hand. Well, that's a Darksteel Citadel, so we get to play our Mirror Enforcer and just leave up our Vault Scourge, I guess. We got to make that trade. Or a Goblin. They have an Epicure. That's annoying. That pings us for 1, but also gives Menace to the Blast Runner. Yep, off their mountain. Another Blast Runner, okay. So either way I trade, right? I can I trade this Vault Scourge, I can either block 2 of these, or I can just double block this. I save myself a life and also get rid of the Menace guy this way. So we will do that. Need to get something pretty good here. And Frogmite. Frogmite's not bad. It allows us to crack the Synth and still be able to play the 2/2. Yep, crack the Synth for no value, unfortunately, but again, we knew we had no mana to work with, so we had to get a Frogmite or a land to be able to get value there. They can't swing, and they drew a mountain that they played, so we're in an okay spot. We draw Mere Enforcer, which we can play. I mean, I think we could start attacking. By that, I mean, I think we need to start attacking, because we're pretty dead to most things they can draw. Actually, I guess if we... Right now, they have one more attacker than us, so a Lightning Bolt kills us. So if I swing with this, Lightning Bolt still kills us, but if I swing with this, then 2 damage gets through. There's not a lot that's going to deal 2 damage and not 3 or like 1, so I think we swing with these 2. If I swing with the Frogmite as well, then they only need 1 damage, and suddenly a Voldarn Epicure or a Clockwork Percussionist kills us. But I think this is the best way to try to hit them fast, get our clock going, and have a chance at not dying. Obviously, they have a million draws that'll kill us here. We just have to hope they don't hit any. They are going to swing, so that tells me they probably did draw a bolt or something, but we're going to do our due diligence and block everything we can. And there's the Chain Lightning. Okay. Game 2. We do get those End the Festivities, which should actually be decent here. Take out Hunger and Blood Fountains. Vault Scourge is so annoying because, like, the lifelink's great, obviously, but the paying 2 life up front's pretty annoying. Because, like, if we play this and then we trade with the 1/1, we kind of just are even. If we play this and they bolt it, they've kind of gotten to kill our creature and bolt us, which is pretty bad. So maybe these are just worse than, like... Hunger's tough, because if they have a removal spell, they can just kill our guy. But if we get into a position we were just in, but maybe had like a flyer, like one of our refurbished familiars, then maybe we could have like hit them for 5 out of nowhere. I don't know. That's my thought process, and we will give it a try here. This one is not great, but we do have the End, the Festivities, Epicure. Ugh. If this was untapped... Yeah, I think we got a mulligan. It's too slow. This one's fine. We'll keep it. Get rid of one of our red guys since we can't play them. Vault of Whispers into a Blood Fountain. And pass. We're going to get hosed by a Gorilla Shaman pretty badly here, but I know we had at least 1 extra turn for that. They have a Tomb Raider, though. Just about the best start they can have. We'll play a Familiar, Darksteel Citadel, and 1 mana short of playing this Enforcer, so we'll pass. They discard a Bushwhacker, which means their hand's probably just stacked. They have a Synth into a Tomb Raider. Okay. They're going to swing, and I think I have to take it because I need this Familiar for this Enforcer. I also need this Blood Token for the Enforcer, so I can't really afford to dig deeper in case we don't have any lands coming up. That's a Synth. Let's play a Mere Enforcer and pass. Now we'll trade if needed. They have a Smash to Smithereens. Well, that's pretty good for them. Every time I play Smash to Smithereens, my opponent doesn't play artifacts, but whatever. Voldarn Epicure, we get our Drossforge Bridge, but we can't play it. Let's Blood Token away the Synth into a Lightning Bolt. I think we are dead. That is pretty unfortunate. Well, they're cracking a synth. Technically, might not be dead. They get a mountain. And they discard a mountain. So a little flooded, but we're still super dead here. I guess we have double removal for their guys. But any sort of burn spell is going to kill us. Let's take out the 2/2s. And see if they can possibly deal us 4 damage with 4 cards in hand. They cannot, but they do have a board to place. Blast runners. Okay, well, we got a couple creatures as well. See how you like it. There's a Kuldotha. Alright, that's gonna do it. We can double block one of these. Oh, and they have the Bushwhacker. Didn't do that last turn for some reason. They had to have one of them. I guess they wanted to save it. I don't know. Alright, let's see if we can possibly get any wins in this league. I will say this is probably our first really good looking hand. Untapped lands, which is what we want. We've gotten tapped lands just about every starting hand. No mulligan, and we have just creatures. That's exactly what we want. So Tomb Raider looks like we might be against another mono red. They've got the Tomb Raider as well, but we're going to hit them with the Percussionist Refurbished combo. Boom. Let's show them we're just mono red. And then wha-bam, out of nowhere. Discard a card, please. And the next turn, we get down this Enforcer as well as this Epicure. So, like, this one's looking great. We just need more hands like this, and we'll be able to pull some wins out, I think. They discard a Percussionist. They got a Mountain from Outlaws of Thunder Junction. A Voldaren Epicure of their own, beating us to it a little bit. And a Percussionist. If they swing, let's see. Next turn we can go Great Furnace, Epicure. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we can play the Enforcer even if we trade here. So I think we will. Then again, this is 2 damage every turn. I can play the Enforcer. And I can just block this with that. Yeah, actually, let's just take it. Be risky. Ooh, we got a synth. That's going to pay a mana for the Mere Enforcer, so let's start with the synth. See, we actually can play what we get off the synth, too. Can't actually play the Epicure as well, but that's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because we kept that familiar, so we can still play the Enforcer. See, like, this is how it's supposed to go. Let's play this Enforcer. Swing for 5. Play the Enforcer pre-combat, because if they do decide to block this Clockwork with the Voldaren, we would lose an artifact. So very important to be mindful of your timing when you are sending your artifacts to potentially die. You often want to play your affinity stuff pre-combat. And they are going for the trade. And we get an Epicure off of that. That one's till next turn, though. So we're going to play the Blast here. I'm just deciding if I wanted to hit them for 4 or if I want to hit their Tomb Raider. Hitting them is pretty tempting, but if they go Kuldotha and Bushwhacker, they definitely, like, we're closer to death than I'm really comfortable with, so I'm going to take out the Tomb Raider, even though I would love to put them to 7 here. But that's okay. We do have 2 Epicures we can play next turn, ping them down to 9. Plus we can attack for what looks to be 8. So pretty close there. Oh, they have a Galvanic Blast. Fair enough. I didn't know they were allowed to have more than 2 artifacts in this mono red deck. They do have the Bushwhacker, so they're going to swing for 4 here, but Definitely a little bit behind us. And we got the 2/1/1s to block their guys. So, yeah, I think we're just gonna... I could play this Percussionist and swing for the 1 now, but this deals the same amount of damage, leaves us with a blocker. And if they do happen to be lucky and draw another Bushwhacker with a Kuldotha, like, we still want to be mindful of that. I guess that would still not quite be lethal. But still, I just want to prevent us from dying as best as possible. They get an Implement of Combustion. Not too bad for us. 2 mana, deal 1 damage is okay at this point in the game, even if it draws them their card back. So I could Blood Token away this Clockwork Percussionist, but it's kind of where we want to be. They do have a Bushwhacker, but they're just going to have to play it as a blocker. Yeah, let's play that Percussionist and swing with the team. They could triple block our 1/1s, or they could block these 2 and chump here if they don't want to give us the one off the Percussionist. Both reasonable, I think. Of course, they get something off of their Percussionist. Yep, so they're going to go to 2 here. Their Percussionist turns up a... Oh, well, they're going to draw their card in response. We're down to 9. Going to turn up a Great Furnace. Okay. So with their... Great Furnace doesn't do anything. With their 2 cards, they're going to have to deal us 9, which seems very difficult. We're going to just play this Vault Scourge. So we do have a blocker in case they happen to get a haste creature. And just an extra attacker in case they have, you know, a couple of removal spells. We'll still be able to take them out here. They do have a Kuldotha Rebirth. So that's blockers for the ground creatures. If they have a removal spell for the familiar, they could survive. They're going to pass. We are going to swing with the team. And see if they got that bolt. They do. Blast down the bird. So block here, they can either trade or just chump this. I think chump's probably the right call. That 1/1 could be pretty good for them. Could be valuable as another blocker or a attacker if they get a Bushwhacker or something. They actually are going to go for the double block. Either way, it's, you know, there's some value to it. Let's see if we get something good off this Percussionist. It's a synth. We'll play it. See if we get something good off that synth. Spin the wheel again. They're going to scoop it up. Yeah, no cards in hand. They have to deal us 10. Pretty tough, seeing as they also need a removal spell first. So we got a game, finally. We're going to bring in those End the Festivities for, again, maybe just something like that. I don't know. I know what we want to bring in against them. It's tough to know exactly what we want to take out. But we'll try it like that. And see if we get another good hand for once. You know, once, twice in a row. For once, twice. You know, if we get that, we might be able to actually pick up a match here. Who knows? All right, this hand isn't as good, but it's still keepable. We have 3 lands. We have an attacker. We have some artifacts if we get our Mirror Enforcers, and we have some removal. So, would I prefer that this swamp is a Great Furnace? Yes. But then again, if they get a Gorilla Shaman, maybe I'll be happy that we have a non-artifact land. We're going to start with our bridge since we don't have a untapped land for our red source. They percussionisted us? Percussioned us? What verb would you use here? They clockworked us for 1 damage. I think that's right. Oh, I mean, they mulliganed apparently to just a 6, but they had no second land and no second 1-drop. That's kind of crazy, right? Okay, in that case, we get to go with Blood Fountain. That's 4 artifacts. So yeah, we're just going to lead on the Tomb Raider. They probably have a bolt for it, seeing as they have to have something, but if not, we get to have a clock twice as fast as theirs. They do. They have a blast for it. That's okay. Next turn, we still get to get down Percussionist and Mirror Enforcer. They have a Tomb Raider. That's pretty good draw. I guess they could have still had it just been sandbagging for the blast. That doesn't make a lot of sense, though, so that's a pretty good draw. And the Festivities is good. We're going to save that for sure until they have more than one. 1/1. But we get our Percussionist and we get a Mirror Enforcer down. We are at 15 and they're at 20, but I'm going to swing for 1. The only thing they can... to kill this Mirror Enforcer, they're going to need a Galvanic Blast with 3 artifacts, which seems unlikely. They're going to need a Fire Blast, which seems unlikely, or a Goblin Grenade, which seems like a great use for us. So, like... Or they're going to have to 2-for-1 with, like, a Bolt and like this. They're going to Kuldotha Rebirth, their Percussionist. And they get a Lightning Bolt off of it. Okay. If there's no mountain, though, that Lightning Bolt's a waste. And the Tomb Raider's now just a 1/2. Okay. We're going to end those festivities for sure. But let's familiar them first. So they discard thinking that they're going to have these goblins. So maybe they like keep their Bushwhacker over something else, and then we end the festivities, so their Bushwhacker's not as good is the idea. They discard a Bushwhacker, so maybe they have multiple, or just know that this is the only real 2-drop in the deck, so maybe that's why. But we will take out those 1/1s and swing with our creatures. Happy to trade here with the Percussionist if they want to do that. If not, they're going to go down to 13, and we're going to pass. We have 2 bolts, so, but only 1 red, so like virtual 7 life they're at, but really it's not that for sure, seeing as these are going to be slow over the course of 2 turns. But if we're able to attack them for 7 next turn, we're definitely going to be in a good spot. Oh, they haven't ended the festivities. Interesting. Kill our Familiar and our Percussionist. We're going to get something off the Percussionist, though. It's a Synth. We might not even play that Synth, depending on what we draw, just because if we play it and we turn up another red spell without a land, without an untapped red source, it's going to be kind of a waste. And if we can just attack with Mirror Enforcer, bolt them, attack with Mirror Enforcer, bolt them, like, that seems kind of good to me. Got a Frogmite, though. Well, we'll swing. I guess the Frogmite's gonna help a little bit. Oh, they chump here. Okay. In that case, we're not looking to necessarily kill in 2 turns, so we'll definitely use this Synth for the value, and we get a bridge. Totally happy with that. Play our Frogmite and pass. Now we can actually double Lightning Bolts, or we can Synth. They have a Percussionist. I mean, they've been stuck on 1 land this entire time, so I understand that they're in a rough spot. They're going to swing, and I'm just going to take it, because I'd prefer for them not to hit their land drop. Rude as that may be, and they actually just scoop it up. They know that they're not winning there. I mean, they had a rough mulligan, and I mean, based on what I saw, probably not a keeper of a hand, but I understand going to 5 is pretty brutal. So we actually got a match, and let's see what we can do in the last one. We are against Boom Busts. A lot of mono red, maybe some mono blue, I think. This hand's okay. It's not amazing, but we're going to give it a try. We can play a turn 2 Synth, hoping, of course, that we don't hit like a Mirror Enforcer or something like that, but if we get just about anything else, we could play it. It is mono red. Another mono red. So, Great Furnace. We're just going to pass. Playing a Synth here is no good. Obviously, it doesn't do anything. Plus, holding up Galv Blast could be good here. They're going to play their Synth on turn 2. Get a Percussionist. They're going to play it. And swing for the fences. We are going to bolt the Blast Runner, take 1. They haven't... we draw an Epic here, so rather than chance the Synth, now that we have an Epic here, we're going to play that. Then we can play a 1-mana Frogmite. The next turn we can play the Synth, and even if we get a Mirror Enforcer off of that with all of our artifact lands, we're going to be able to play it. So that was a decent draw, not necessarily the best, but like a totally fine draw there. They have a Galv Blast, and they're going to swing with the Percussionist. I think we're going to trade. I know they get a value out of it. They always will. Percussionist is pretty good, but they get a Bolt. We get a Percussionist. Let's play our Synth. We have a Vault of Whispers. Yeah, I mean, I could just play the Great Furnace. I have plenty of land, so I don't really care about this Vault. And then play a Percussionist, but the Percussionist can't even attack. And they could just Bolt it, which is not really something they want to do, but it's fine. So actually, we'll just keep the Vault of Whispers. Hitting our land drops is not bad, obviously. We have our Synthesizer, we have a Blood token, so we have ways to use them, but they're going to Bolt us, since they have it for the turn, and swing for 2 here. Let's discard this Mountain. Get another Percussionist. We're going to take 2. Crossforge Bridge. I could crack the Synth. Again, if I get an Enforcer, I'm out of luck there. So let's just play 2 Enforcers. Not Enforcers, God, I wish. 2 Percussionists. And I think we might just pass. I'm happy to trade the, like, double block the Blast Runner with these. Even if they go for like a Bolt or something, we don't really lose value because our guys buy ourselves cards back. They're gonna sack the Implement, so yeah, I'll double block this. And see what we get off the top here. Take 1 off the Percussionist. They let it go through. We get a Bridge and a Frogmite. Not the best hits, but I guess we'll take them. Let's Synthesizer. We get a Blood Fountain, so I'm going to play a Frogmite. I'm going to not use this Bridge because I need this black mana to play the Blood Fountain, which is obviously more important, and pass. So they still have a couple cards, but our value is accumulating with 2 2/2s and our Blood Fountain, which can get back some Percussionists, maybe. They have a Synth into an Epicure. And they're going to pass. I'll just leave this Galv Blast in hand for now. I think we're going to swing. Samurai's got Vigilance, so it blocks. If they want to go for a double block, that's fine. If not, we get to hit them for 4. They are going to double. We'll just let it go through. And their Percussionist turns up a Mountain. That's fine. We're going to play an Epicure and hold up Blood Fountain. I think we're just going to keep this Bridge for our Blood tokens, since we have a couple of them. They're going to Galvanic Blast us. Okay. So, yeah, we're in danger for sure. Sack a Synth. Turn up an Implement. So they have the Mountain for, lucky them. Let's get back our Frogmite, and yeah, we'll go with the Percussionist. And we get a Great Furnace. So let's pitch a Bridge. We get a Tomb Raider. That's 1, 2, 3 red. This guy's got to sit back, though, so I can afford to pitch another one of these. Great Furnace. There's a Mirror Enforcer. So let's Frogmite, Percussionist, Tomb Raider, swing with the team. Even if they block an artifact here, we still have 7, so Made sure of that. They're going to take 5, jumping, blocking the Epic here. We have an Enforcer, so 2 blockers. We're definitely, obviously, still in we are still in danger of dying to burn. They have 1 burn on us right now, which they're going to use. But they can't burn us out here. We can maybe get them on the back foot. They have an Epic here. That's a blocker and burn. Okay, I don't love that. So they can block. They'll only take 5. Another Epic here. Okay, well, the blockers are pretty annoying. Refurbished Familiar's fine. We're just going to swing with the team. And if they let 7 of it through, we can Galvanic Blast them, but that seems unlikely. Well, if they block like this, they're going to let 6 of it through. If we can draw a burn spell off of Percussionist, we can get there. Do another Percussionist. Well, let's play a Familiar. Make him discard, and we will play that Clockwork Percussionist. We're 1 damage away for that Galvanic Blast, so if they get us here, it's going to be pretty annoying, but they are really tanking about this Familiar discard, which is fair. They discarded an Epic here. That's a pretty good one. See what else they got in hand. They're sacking a Synth. For a Tomb Raider, okay. They have a Mountain, Tomb Raider, Tomb Raider. That is not death from us. So we can block here, not here. We can block here. We can block here. We take 3. They have no cards in hand. We should be able to get them then. Nice. All right, and then we can just swing in, even without the Galv Blast. So that was a close one, but we were able to get there. We're against Mono Red again, so let's bring in the festivities for a couple of these. And let's just ship it back, I think. I will say, this deck I've been working on for a while. I think it's pretty good. It's pretty sweet. Not the best against Mono Red. It probably is just a worse version of Mono Red. So because of how prevalent Kuldotha is at the moment, this might not be the right deck for the current meta. But when the meta shifts a little bit more away from red, but where aggro decks are still good, I think it will have some more staying power. So not always going to be great. I'm just playing it now because it's fun, and we got the new Percussionist, which I wanted to give a try, but that may be part of why we are 0-3. This hand is tough. It's too slow. If this was an untapped red, maybe, but we only have 1 red, so for all we know, we can only play 1 of these a turn, and that's going to take 6 turns to get through all of them because it's tapped, so we're gonna ship that one. This hand's okay. We're gonna keep it and get rid of 1 Enforcer, I think. I kind of want to, get rid of the synths and just live for the Enforcers, but I think that might be not the smartest. Also, if they get a Gorilla Shaman, we're going to be in real trouble. So they are mulliganing to 4, which helps, but if they're mulliganing for a Gorilla Shaman, we're going to be in a tough spot. But they have a Mountain and a Percussionist for now, so swing for 1. You get in the festivities. I'm going to play we have to play the Furnace if we want to try to synth next turn. So even though it's the one we want to get blown up less, it's the one we got to lean on. So they only have 3 cards. Hopefully they don't have a Gorilla Shaman or don't have the second land for it. But they are starting with a Rebirth into another Kuldotha Rebirth. We have the End the Festivities for it, so that's pretty good. And another End the Festivities. By playing End the Festivities, we are making it so we can't go Synth Familiar. I actually think I might want to Synth Familiar more because they only have 2 cards. If I can take one of their cards, that's great. So I'm going to wait on the familiars, not the familiars, the end the festivities for 1 turn. Or we didn't know we'd do that, but we will synth into a Great Furnace and then we'll end the festivities. That's pretty good too. So when life hands you Great Furnaces, you make Furnace Aid. I don't know why I said that. They played a Blast Runner. 2 cards in hand. We get to do another synth, I think, now that we have black and red up. Perfect. We get a familiar. Play that, and we can even play our Mirror Enforcer for 1 mana. Take one of their 2 cards and pass to them. They lose their Implement, which is their menace for this guy. Pretty good. Yeah, they just concede. They obviously mulliganed poorly, and were able to scoop up that last game. So, like I said, this deck might not be the best right now. I do think it's sweet. We got a 2-3 out of it, so I'm not going to be like, oh, we did amazingly or anything like that. But the deck is cool. I'm definitely messing with it. Percussionist is just really good. It's hard to argue. Percussionist is phenomenal. It's just a 1/1 artifact for 1 mana, and when it dies, no matter what, you get a card out of it. So I think it's a huge upgrade to the deck. I think it can push this deck a little bit further. I think that things that we need to change or look at changing is like Hunger of the Nim. I mean, we didn't even see it in this game, in this match, this league, excuse me. But sometimes it's good, obviously sometimes it's bad. I really wish this card were instant, or there were an instant version of it, because I think that would be, let's call it playable, and this one's not really there, but we do still need some way to like push it over the line. And Vault Scourge feels awkward, better with the Hunger of the Nim, but we maybe need to replace them with something else, or maybe wait for another upgrade for the deck. So I'm still liking it and messing around with it, so let me know if you have any suggestions. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.